Ladies and gentlemen, what we're seeing unfold in Pennsylvania right now is nothing short of a coordinated assault on our republic itself. Voters being turned away in conservative districts, polling locations mysteriously shutting down early in Bucks County, and now ballot boxes being set ablaze in multiple locations on the West Coast. But here's the kicker. At the same time, the chaos unfolds on the ground. Military helicopters are conducting evacuation drills near the Capitol 1 week before the election. Let that sink in. Now, you know what else is under attack right now? Your skin's natural defenses. Just like election integrity, your body's collagen production faces a systematic breakdown over time, dropping 12% every decade after the age of 20. But while we fight to protect your vote, you can fight back against aging. Our premium collagen supplement combines 5 essential types of collagen that work together like a security system for your skin. Don't let Father Time steal your youthful appearance. Visit healthwithgary.com. It's linked below. Get 51% off and protect your skin's integrity like we're protecting our election's integrity. Now, let's get right to it. I just got this message. My buddy Tom sent this to me right before we went live, and we're now learning. This is some really bad news, and I apologize if the screen is a little blurry for you. We're still working on that bandwidth issue. So what we're learning right now is that Colorado voting machine passwords were leaked online by the Democrat Secretary of State, specifically over 600 passwords for machines in 63 of the state's 64 counties were posted for anyone to see. BIOS passwords are highly confidential, allowing broad access for knowledgeable users to fundamentally manipulate systems and data and to remove any trace of doing so. Due to the sensitivity surrounding BIOS passwords, Colorado election regulation requires limited access to a select few of the Colorado Department of State. Neither county clerks nor commissioners have access to these files. Someone signed an affidavit swearing under penalty of perjury that they downloaded the file from Jenna Griswold's website and discovered the hidden tab by simply clicking unhide. Now, this is from George and Behezy tweets. He says, "Hey, Secretary of Fraud Jenna Griswold, how about you start upholding election laws instead of spending all your time gaslighting the rest of us about how safe and secure our elections are? We, the voters of the state, would really appreciate it. Exactly 1 week from now, we will finally vote to restore Trump back to the White House to bring those crooks to justice." Now, if you don't believe me, he actually posted this affidavit right here. You can see it on screen. I really apologize for the blurriness. It's just due to a limited bandwidth issue we're experiencing in the studio. But Jenna Griswold's office confirmed that it did happen, and the department is working to remedy the situation where necessary. It states here that the department took immediate action as soon as it was aware of this and informed the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, which closely monitors and protects the country's essential security infrastructure. The real remedy for this is to cancel the contracts with the voting machine vendors and hand count our ballots. So again, I apologize for the blurriness on the screen there. But that's what we're at right now. Also, just a reminder that everybody does need to make sure that you videotape you record your vote. I've been getting messages from people, some of our viewers and comments saying that certain locations will not permit you to do so. I find that very odd. I do it in my location here in Illinois. But if you can do it and upload your vote to X or some comparable platform so that there is a record, public record of your vote, if you're comfortable doing that, of course. Everyone needs to make sure they take video if they're standing in line and being denied access as well to cast your ballot. We need the evidence, cameras out. So here's what we're learning in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Democrats are going around polling locations with badges posing as poll workers. At the same time, election officials keep telling long lines of voters to go home and come back later. So you can see here's a picture of one of those individuals, and it says voter protection. It looks like an official walking around with a clipboard, and I'm an important guy. I've got my shiny badge and my clipboard, so that means I must be somebody. And you can see here, these are the long lines where people are out to vote, but people are posing as poll workers illegally. and I'm not sure exactly what the point is, but we have some good news now. Steve Bannon has been released from prison finally for his prison sentence for politically motivated charges. You can see the picture of him here. This is his daughter greeting him after being released, and he's now back on the war room, and he is talking just 1 week before the election, so perfect timing. Here's what he had to say. He did hold a press conference, and he has a suggestion for President Trump. Let's listen.
Couple of days for at 11 o'clock at night, not at 2:30 in the morning, and explain to American people where the voting is. At 11 o'clock at night, not at 2:30 in the morning, and explain to American people where the voting is, right? Where the voting is and what's to come, what is still outstanding. The American people, quite frankly, were quite confused in 2020. They don't need to be confused today. And I think you're going to see some big numbers from President Trump. We've already know that, though, that Pennsylvania and Maricopa County and others are saying it could take a while, but he needs to explain to the American people early on exactly where we are in the voting.
Like analysis? So it seems like you're suggesting that Americans should be ready for this to potentially take a few days to know who the winner is.
I don't say that. I believe that Jocelyn Benson in Michigan has said it's going to take a couple of days for Michigan. I believe that people in Maricopa County just said the other day it could take them 4, 5, or 6 days to figure things out. Not just
legitimate, because 4 years ago on election night, you wanted Donald Trump to declare victory. So what
well,
you're
hang on. Well, we have made significant changes, and mail-in ballots are not what they were. He told us, Mark Elias told us, that on election night, you were going to call it what is the red mirage. But just wait 2 weeks when all votes are counted. He didn't say all legitimate votes. He didn't say all certifiable votes. He didn't say all votes from American citizens. He said all votes. Wait till all the votes are counted. And you can only count certifiable chain of custody votes from American citizens. Okay, so we don't want to have a replay of 2020. Changes have been made. I don't think enough changes have been made, but it's election officials in Pennsylvania, it's election officials in Maricopa County, it's election officials in Michigan that are saying right now, and I think some of those election officials are Democrats, some are Republicans, that they don't think that this is going to be, that they don't think they're going to be able to give definitive numbers for a couple of days. But it doesn't mean President Trump can't go out there and explain to people exactly where this is, and I strongly advocate that he does.
So we've been reporting over the last couple of weeks, election officials from across the country have consistently seeded the American mind that it's going to take days, 3, 4, 5 days for them to get full numbers in, and that nobody should expect a clear winner on election night. And in my opinion, that is a huge red flag, and that is why Bannon is saying we need to keep very close tabs on the vote counts that come in and make announcements as they come in so that victory can be declared despite whatever these people are saying as they continue to try to, in my opinion, manipulate this vote. Here we're finding out election officials in Lane County, Oregon, taped off 2 USPS mailboxes and told voters who use the mailboxes to track their ballots online after a key used to open them was stolen. The affected mailboxes are in front of the Marcola Post Office and at the end of Mohawk River Road. People who drop ballots at the affected mailboxes can track their ballots at OregonVotes.gov. So we're seeing now USPS mailbox keys have been stolen in some areas. Now we're learning this. This just came out. This looks like a Steven Crowder investigation. Busted Democrat operative Joel Caldwell admits to illegal ballot harvesting operation in Atlanta, Georgia. They pay people to illegally ballot harvest. They forge ballots. They bribe ballot counters and election officials. Atlanta mayor stole the seat. Will he be prosecuted? Will this be investigated? Let's take a listen into this that just broke. I guess this was this just came out, but it was recorded.
Someone put like the whole thing with the dome when they was counting. That was the big thing here was the counting of the ballots at the dome. It was all counting the ballots, and they told them that it was a leak on the opposite side of the dome, and everybody needed to evacuate. So then when they all left, The Democrats went back in and started counting. The Republicans went back to the headquarters. They didn't know.
You know that for a fact?
That's what happened. Yeah.
They made it seem like nothing like they legitimately had leak issues.
Yeah, so they had said it was leak issues. So you see them on the video putting everything up, and they left. No, they did. They put someone put stuff up, and then you see them leave. Then they was out in the parking lot when I guess they told them they could come back in. Or they was out in the parking lot and they was gonna go back to headquarters. And so the Republicans left, the Republican watchers, they all left. And so after they left, the Democrats went back in there and started counting. So that's the video.
Okay, so I want to make a point here. There's some fine print on the screen that Crowder's team added. And I'm reading it here. It says, this opinion piece is presented for informational and discussion purposes only. The truth or falsity of these statements has not been verified. So I'm reading that out loud so that the YouTube minders and all those people who are trying to claim that we're spreading election misinformation or whatever, that they understand clearly what the intention of this undercover video is and why we're presenting it, just as Stephen says here, for informational and discussion purposes. Okay.
You see them when they're walking back in, pulling the shit out from underneath the tables, and during that hour, and then the other part was that when they were counting, I think during that hour, that stretch of that, it was only like less than 100 votes was counted for Trump. And statistically, you're downtown, there's going to be more than 100 votes for Trump. That's what happened in 2020, because that's when the ballots, and they started stuffing the ballots, and people stuffing the ballots, and they got videotape on it. But nobody talks about it, because they want it. That's why Trump been making that big deal about it, because you see it on videotape. It's like, come on. We see the man pull up and put 100 ballots in his box. You know, you can't do that shit. So Bruce is paying people to do just that, drop off ballots, go around, collect ballots, collect absentee ballots, drop them off.
How did that even
work?
Okay, so if you're paying someone, I'm not trying to do this, trust me, but if you're a group and you're paying someone to pick up the absentee ballots, do people take their absentee ballots to the orgs and then the orgs distribute the pay? That's confusing. It doesn't make sense.
No, it's like, let's say you're my canvasser, I tell you to go around and pick up these absentee ballots from this area. You know, you go pick them all up and drop them off in the box. No different. I pay you every week like the canvasser. You just get paid like the canvasser. You're on the clock for however many hours, driving around, picking up absentee ballots and putting them in ballot boxes.
What information do you need to actually know that these are certain areas that have a lot of absentee ballots?
I mean, when that's the case, you would just have to you would either have to reach it, like if some groups was reaching out to the folks beforehand, so they were passing them out to other people, and then coming back and getting them all. Going down to a senior house, give everybody a ballot, come back and collect all their ballots and turn it in on. And then you take the ballots and then drop them off.
And then the groups would.
Okay, I'm going to retweet this, repost it, so you can watch the whole thing. It's about 9 minutes and 20 seconds. But this is a bombshell investigation that's just dropped. It looks like it was recorded back in February and details quite clearly a lot of funny business going on. Let's continue with the breakdown of all that's happening. Okay, so you know the film that we went and saw at Mar-a-Lago? We saw the film The Man You Don't Know. And it's a film about Donald Trump, the real Donald Trump. The stories the media doesn't tell you. The humanitarian stories of lives that he's affected. That he doesn't go out and, broadcast to the world. Someone else has to tell the story, and that's what these guys did. Now, there's something really dirty happening with the film, and I got this text from Christopher Martini, who's the director of the film. And I reached back to him after he sent it to me because I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on here. This is a firsthand account that this person had at a movie theater. That they said a friend and I had a rather strange and bizarre incident occur the day we went to see a matinee showing of your film, The Man You Don't Know, at Regal Maui Mall Multiplex Cinema on the island of Maui, Hawaii. Let me first say we thought your film was well done, informative, and came away knowing things about Trump we did not know, so mission accomplished. The incident in question took place on Saturday, October 26th. First showing arrived 30 minutes prior to the film start, only to find all the seats except for the front row had been sold. I questioned the ticket person, finding this hard to believe. He showed me the screen to verify it. Living in a one-party blue state with a lot more Republicans than they know, we shrugged and thought it was a good sign of people's interest in learning about Trump's candidacy. We reluctantly purchased the 2 unsold seats in the front row, consoling ourselves that at least the seats were recliners and couldn't be that bad. However, upon entering the show, close to starting time, we found the theater was completely empty. 2 women entered after us and sat further back. We wondered if perhaps the group had bought all the tickets and they were late arriving. When the documentary started, the audience was empty. We moved back several rows in the front to 2 other ladies, but with enough distance between us. My friend and I, being former journalists, wondered if the Democrat Party had bought all the tickets so no one could see our film. Midway through the documentary, 2 women several rows behind us began hissing and laughing and shouting, saying liar and not true and other derogatory comments. They told them to be quiet. They didn't interact with them. And that's when one person took out a cell phone and tried filming us, probably to post on some media site to celebrate the fact that only 2 women showed up for the Trump documentary. Eventually, the usher heard the silent pleas and came to check on the theater and got his manager. He left but did not return. So some people I'm trying to find out. It says here, the stranger part is when we went to where you can purchase tickets, told them what had happened. I asked why we had been given the worst seats in the house. They brought up the screen for the 12:15 show. It only had 4 people had bought tickets and it hadn't been sold out, as we've been told. My friend and I turned to each other wondering if we entered the Twilight Zone or somebody had hacked into the Regal Cinemas database, were flipping seat attendance screens like fraudulent voter machines. If so, Regal Cinemas and you as producers of the film are being financially hoodwinked regarding true sales and attendance availability. So my question is, it's either somebody purchased the seats so no one could see the film, or the theater blocked them out and only allowed a certain number of seats to be sold. So like if you ever gone to a theater and you got to try to purchase seats, they will tell you if seats are unavailable because of some reason other than a ticket sale. Like they'll block it out, like maybe someone puked in a seat or, something weird, like the seats are broken or something. So maybe they said all these seats are disabled. That way no one could buy the seats, only leaving a select few open. And I reached out to Christopher Martini to find out if they could drill down to the actual ticket sales in the theater. But clearly, as we reported on another occasion, that the film was pulled from 150 theaters. So they clearly do not want the American people to see this film. What I understand is the film is now going to be released on X. So you can have your own screening. This is good news. Because when I told them, they told me that because of the theaters were pulling their film, I said, well, when Aaron Russo released America Freedom to Fascism, he did have theatrical showings, but he also released it to the public online. At the time, it was Google Video, and that way people could individually share the link to the video. They could have home screenings of the film, and they could affect change in that manner. So perhaps they took my advice when I told them that what we did with America Freedom to Fascism with Aaron Russo to release the film digitally, and it looks like they're going to be doing that. So that's good news. Sadly, though, there's some weird things going on with the theatrical release of this film. The film, again, is called The Man You Don't Know. Make sure you take 2 friends or host a home screening of it for yourself. Now, we're also learning that the RNC has filed an emergency stay application in the U.S. Supreme Court over mail ballots in the Commonwealth. The RNC filed emergency stay application in the Supreme Court to protect mail ballots in Pennsylvania. RNC Chairman Michael Whatley stated Pennsylvania law has critically important safeguards to ensure every legal vote is counted. We filed an emergency application in the Supreme Court to preserve those safeguards. Pennsylvania's mail ballots must be protected for our country's most important election. So the background on this is last week, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court allowed voters who failed to follow instructions for casting their mail ballots, such as failing to enclose the ballot in a secrecy envelope, to cast provisional ballots on Election Day. Pennsylvania law does not allow provisional ballots in these circumstances. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court cannot rewrite the election laws to fit its members' policy preferences. Requiring ballots to be returned in a secrecy envelope is a critical election integrity safeguard to protect the right of a secret ballot. We have filed this emergency stay to ensure the law is upheld for this election. So, RNC filing an emergency stay with the Supreme Court to uphold election laws. More coming here. Yes, Ashley St. Clair confirming the side of Donald Trump the media doesn't want you to see. The Man You Don't Know is the only documentary where real Donald Trump's own family gives you an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the real man, father, grandfather, and husband. So that is now coming exclusively to X. Now, Juanita Broadwick, she posted this just a couple days ago. You may have seen it, but this is really, really shady. Check this out. This is in Philadelphia. These are like the the childless cat ladies that are working in the back rooms to steal the election.
Here and not up there. Oh my God. Hi. Hey, so you with the elections? You're the Bureau of Elections, right?
Well, what? I mean, I'm just a volunteer.
We're just wondering what. Okay, I understand you're a volunteer and you're just doing your job. What's all these? Are these mail-in ballots or what's these coming in?
What are these? These are my in tape here.
What's that?
Am I in tape as well?
Yeah, because we're wondering why are ballots being handled down here and not up there with the elections. So we're curious about that.
Okay, yeah. The gentleman who's in charge of this, I think, should be right back down.
What's his name?
Gosh, what is his name? Do you know his name?
Are you volunteer or employee?
I'm a poll watcher.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I'm a poll.
supervisor will be back here.
So what's his name?
I don't know.
Okay.
Just volunteer.
And you're a volunteer? What kind of volunteer are you? With the elections?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious. Oh my God.
Yeah, so you can see they're masked up, counting ballots in a location where they shouldn't be counting ballots. A poll watcher goes down, confronts them, and they can't even tell you who their boss is. I mean, if that's not shady, I don't know what is. And then this video was posted. Clark County Elections ballot drop box at Fisher's Landing Transit Center lit on fire. This was a day ago. Clark County Auditor Greg Kimsey says hundreds of ballots were inside at the time, last pickup being 11 a.m. Saturday. And this is a KATU.com news reporting this. I mean, look at this. You got ballots burning. This is how they're trying to destroy the integrity of your vote. Clearly, there is no Trump supporter who is going to drop an incendiary device inside of a ballot collection box. The only people that would do that are people who want to steal the election, who want to destroy the sacred vote you have just cast. Portland, Oregon, and neighboring Vancouver, Washington, ballot boxes were set on fire with incendiary devices. No suspect or motivation has yet been established. But there's this. Look at that. Election Day, block up, November 3rd, and they show ballot boxes on fire. Here we are. Some more Antifa propaganda that's being circulated. But this one is the most telling. Clearly showing a ballot box on fire. Oh, but we've got more, my friends. We've got more to dig deeper into. The GOP sounding the alarm on voter suppression in Pennsylvania. RNC is demanding voting access. The RNC sent a letter to Secretary of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Al Schmidt, demanding the state protect the people's right to vote. With only 8 days until Election Day, Pennsylvanians across the Commonwealth deserve every option available to exercise their civic duty, but voters are being turned away, given faulty information, told their ballots would not be counted. This is nothing short of voter suppression, and we demand immediate action to ensure every legal vote can be cast and counted. Now, I posted this reaction to the destruction of the ballot boxes. Because this is what happens when you install a candidate by overthrowing the democratic process, then realize you messed up, so you need to start an arson campaign. That's where we're at right now, folks. Here we have Robbie Starbuck a day ago posting that Mark Elias is literally fighting for ballots to be counted, even if received 3 days after Election Day with no postmark. Think about that. 3 days after the election with no postmark, meaning it never actually was processed by a post office, which means it could be created in a back room somewhere by groups of people and dropped off. Oh, guess what? We just found these 50,000 ballots. Here you go. Sorry. And then add them to the voter rolls. No sane person thinks that sounds reasonable or fair. It sounds like the makings of a fraud. The Nevada Supreme Court is shameful. GOP must appeal. Nevada Supreme Court denies the Republican appeal in mail-in ballot lawsuit. Non-postmarked ballots received up to 3 days after election will be counted. And then this is what was really caught my eye today. Look at this video. Look at this video. Where did it go? I just had it on screen. Here it is. An emergency response drill was conducted in Washington, D.C. 12 military helicopters participated in evacuation training exercise near the U.S. Capitol. Why would they do that? Why is an emergency response drill to evacuate the Capitol happening right before the election? And if you remember about the DOD directive we reported on about a week ago, everyone's talking about it with respect to lethal force being authorized against American citizens in the event of some protests or something. And then you have the other day when we reported on that point, you had MSNBC spewing the most disgusting rhetoric from the Lincoln Project, claiming that Republicans were going to set polling locations on fire to suppress the vote. But right now, what are we seeing? We're seeing ballot boxes, drop boxes being set on fire. It's like all this is completely planned. And then you got the DOD directive, and now you see emergency drills happening in Washington, D.C. to evacuate the Capitol. 12 military helicopters participating in a training exercise. Here we have, let's listen to what Jesse Waters is talking about. Democrats are suing to prevent drop box surveillance. Why? Why would you not want people watching the drop boxes? You want to have a secure election, you should be able to see what's happening around them. Because then maybe you could find out who's dropping these incendiary devices in them. But of course, they don't want that. Let's listen.
Like today in Georgia, a judge ruled that election officials have to certify results, even if voter fraud is suspected. And around the state, Democrats are suing to prevent drop box surveillance, hand counting ballots, and voter ID protections. Why are Democrats trying to make elections less secure? Especially while many states across the country are finding thousands of people who aren't citizens on the voter rolls, like in Virginia, where Governor Youngkin removed more than 6,000 non-citizens from the rolls. The Biden-Harris administration didn't like that. The Justice Department is now suing Virginia for cleaning up the voter rolls, something Virginia governors have been doing for years.
Why is it that anyone could argue that a process that removes non-citizens off of our voter rolls is anything else other than common sense and constitutional? This is a law that's been on our books since 2006. It was a law that was signed by then Democrat Governor Tim Kaine. This is why I find this to be a very, very unreal moment that is stunning, that they filed this suit 25 days before a presidential election, when in fact this has been going on in accordance with our Constitution, the federal Constitution, and state law since 2006.
It's simple. We just want free and fair elections. Democrats are trying to loosen the rules and get Republicans today in Georgia.
So that's what's happening. Virginia, Georgia, Again, going back to this, multiple black helicopters were seen in D.C. as military helicopters conducted an evacuation training exercise near the U.S. Capitol a week before the election. The question asked, what do they know? Okay, let's drill down deeper here. The Trump's going to win, and the left is going to go crazy. I still want to know why they had to give the Pentagon the authority to use lethal force on American citizens. This is exactly what I just said. All hell is going to let loose across this country when Trump wins. The Democrats are fractured, and losing the election will cause them to crumble. The propaganda machine was successful in their psychological warfare. When Trump wins, the Democrat foot soldiers, the radicals like Antifa, will be unleashed. Democrats will burn everything to the ground as they lose power. Another respondent says they always have tabletop exercises when they're getting ready to pull off something. They're up to something. It is going to get wild. They're going to disqualify Trump by saying that J6 was an insurrection, which it wasn't. The courts already says it as well. Legit insurrection was when the mob has guns and other weapons. These people don't even know the definition. Another respondent, I said 2 weeks ago, they're going to lock up D.C. tighter than a drum on Election Day or soon after with the military. Another respondent, they're going to try and steal the election, probably this time with mail-in ballots or after Election Day. They'll want to see how many ballots they're behind, then try to steal afterward. I don't trust anything they're planning and signing this new bill recently allowing lethal force. So, there's more. Look at this. This is in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Emergency services shut down the voting line in Doylestown hours before they're supposed to. This comes after countless reports of voter intimidation and shenanigans in the same county. Voter suppression. So absolute insanity is already occurring. We're only 7 days out from this election, and we're finding out that Jenna Griswold's office confirmed 600 passwords for machines in 63 of the state's 64 counties were posted for anyone to see. Voting machine passwords. All this as Bannon is let out of prison. Post office boxes are being taped up because keys are being stolen. Ballot boxes are being set on fire. Emergency junctions at Supreme Court. Film being kicked out of theaters. Poll watchers acting suspiciously. I mean, this woman here was arrested in Pennsylvania for encouraging people to stay in line to vote early. Here's a woman getting arrested for just encouraging people to stay in line. My friends, what we're witnessing here is the beginning. And then we have this ballot box found at a Florida intersection. Illinois Review posting this. A box full of ballots and documents was found near exit 11 at the intersection of 211th Street in Cutler Bay, Florida. The good news, a passerby quickly picked them up and took them to the police where they have been secured. So it's like one report after another. And then I get a personal report. This is really close to home. A member of my own family contacted me and said that a close relative of theirs had gone to a location, and I asked them to send me a testimony, a written testimony. They were an older person. They didn't record the event, but I said, write me up a written testimony of what happened. They go into a voter location, they vote for Trump, and what happens? The vote ballot spits out for Kamala. They checked it. They said, I'm not handing this in. And they went back and got another ballot. Did it again. Spits out Kamala instead of Trump. They did this 3 times, and every single time it spit out for Kamala and not Trump. Now, this person was vigilant enough to understand and look and check their ballot before they actually submitted it. They go to the machine, they press the buttons, and they say, this is my vote, these are who I want to vote for, spit out my ballot, and submit. But they checked beforehand, and when they got it, they looked and saw Kamala. And then they said, they had to figure out, I don't even think they had a chance to vote, because they told them to pull the machine off the floor, which I believe she said that they eventually did. But the question is, how many other people didn't check their ballots before they went to vote and drop it in? How many people just trusted the machine and said, I'm going to make sure that my vote was actually cast for Trump. And unbeknownst, they drop a ballot in that's voted for Kamala. So make sure if your machine spits out a ballot for you and you can see it in your hand, make sure it says who you actually voted for. Whoever you're voting for. Even if you're voting for Kamala, make sure your vote is for Kamala if that's who you want to vote for. If you're voting for Trump, make sure it says Trump. And if it doesn't, you bring that to the election official and you tell them, I want a new ballot. This is incorrect. This computer did not process my vote correctly. This is where we're at right now. So while we may have military helicopters conducting drills over D.C., ballot boxes going up in flames and polling locations shutting down early in conservative districts, ask yourself, what are they preparing for? Mark Elias is fighting to count ballots with no postmarks 3 days after the election. Nevada Supreme Court just gave him the green light. My question for you is, why do you think they're conducting military evacuation drills in D.C. exactly 1 week before the election? Drop your theories in the comments below, and let's continue this important conversation.